Welcome back, dear listeners, to another exciting episode of The Gossip Historian, where we spill tea like it's 1773. Today, we're diving deep into the life of a woman who was born into the lap of luxury, but preferred the thrill of mischief instead. A woman who lived her life on her own terms, defying royal norms and expectations. A woman who was a princess by birth, a rebel by choice, and a legend by deed. Hold on to your seats, because we're about to take a roller coaster ride into the scandalous life of Joanna of Naples, a royal whose life was anything but ordinary. So buckle up, grab your teacups, and get ready for a historical journey filled with royal shenanigans, political power plays, and scandalous affairs. Let's begin with her childhood shenanigans that left the royal court in a tizzy. But remember, this is just the beginning of our tale, for the real drama is yet to unfold. Joanna, the girl who put the scandal in scandalous before it was even a thing. Born into the gilded cage of Naples royalty, her life was anything but ordinary. Her childhood was filled with mischief and tiara-tossing tantrums, much to the chagrin of her nanny. Joanna was a rebel with a cause, and her antics were the talk of the court. There was the time she swapped the royal scepter with a baguette, leaving the king speechless during his grand address. Or unforgettable incident when she replaced the royal ink with grape juice, giving her father's official documents a fruity twist. Each audacious act was a clear indication that Joanna was not one to be confined by the expectations of her royal lineage. She was a free spirit, a whirlwind of energy, and a ticking time bomb of mischief. Little did they know, the real drama was just about to start. Andrew of Hungary, the first husband, and unfortunately, Joanna's first victim. Love really is a deadly weapon, isn't it? So, let's set the scene. Joanna and Andrew, two lovebirds tied in holy matrimony. Or well, maybe not so holy. And definitely not lovebirds. More like two cats hissing at each other from opposite sides of the room. Andrew, a Hungarian prince, was essentially a foreigner in a strange land, married to a woman who didn't particularly like him. And Joanna? She was a strong-willed queen who wasn't too thrilled about sharing her throne. Talk about a match made in heaven, am I right? Their relationship was, to put it mildly, a bit strained, like a rubber band that's been stretched too far and is just waiting to snap. And snap it did. Now, we can't say for sure that Joanna poisoned Andrew, but let's just say tea time at their castle must have been a nerve-wracking affair. You know, with the constant fear of a little extra something in your Earl Grey. Joanna, our queen, was a woman of many talents. Among them, apparently, was a knack for toxicology. She was suspected of serving Andrew a cocktail. Not the fun party kind, but the permanent sleep kind. Talk about a toxic relationship. And here's the kicker. When Andrew met his untimely end, there was no proof. No smoking gun, no poison vial, just a lot of whispered suspicions and side eyes at the dinner table. Joanna, it seems, was not just a queen, but a master of intrigue as well. So did Joanna poison her husband? We may never know for sure. But let's just say, if she did, she certainly set a high bar for the rest of her marital escapades. And just like that, Joanna became a widow. But don't worry, she didn't stay single for long. Who needs political rivals when you have the plague as a friend? Now, let's delve into the devious world of Joanna's political maneuvering. Picture this. You're a woman in the 14th century, dealing with the petty squabbles of the political elite. What's a queen to do? Well, if you're Joanna, you simply decide to weaponize nature's deadliest disease. Yep, you heard it right. Our girl Joanna was not one for diplomacy or debates. She was more of a let's let the plague do the talking kind of gal. She'd sit back, relax, and watch as her political rivals dropped like flies. And she didn't even have to lift a finger, except maybe to, spread the plague. Now, I'm not saying that this is an ethical or even remotely normal way of dealing with your enemies, but you've got to admit, it's pretty darn effective. I mean, who's going to argue with you when they're too busy dealing with bubonic plague symptoms? Joanna was like, oh, you don't agree with my policies, here, have some plague. And the best part? She got away with it. There was no CSI, Naples back then, to link her to the crime. All Joanna had to do was sit back and sip her wine while her enemies succumbed to the plague. It was the perfect crime in an imperfect world. But let's not forget that this was also a time of superstition and fear. People believed that the plague was a punishment from God. So in a twisted way, Joanna was just playing into these beliefs. She was the righteous queen, untouched by the plague, while her enemies were struck down. Talk about divine retribution, right? Well, that's one way to win an argument. So, the next time you're stuck in a debate, just remember Joanna. She might not be the role model you want, but she's certainly the one you need when you're dealing with pesky political rivals. In the Game of Thrones, you win or you die, or in Joanna's case, you make sure everyone else dies. Joanna proving once again that family dinners at her place were a risky affair. Now let's talk about Joanna's second ride on the marriage carousel. This time she decided to keep it all in the family. No, really she did. Joanna tied the knot with her cousin, Louis of Taranto. Talk about a family reunion that ends with a wedding cake. Now, let's dive into that matrimonial hall of mirrors. Joanna and Louis, the cousin couple, were as thick as thieves. Some say they were partners in crime, literally. They were like two peas in a poison-laced pod. Their relationship was a cocktail of power, politics, and, you guessed it, poison. Now, Joanna was a woman of many talents, and one of those was apparently brewing a mean cup of poison tea. Louis, her cousin hubby, was rumored to be another unsuspecting victim of her lethal brew. I mean, you'd think after hubby number one, people would stop accepting beverages from Joanna, but no. Louis, bless his cotton socks, was either very brave or very naive, or maybe he just really liked tea. Either way, he ended up 6 feet under, and once again all fingers pointed at Joanna. But hey, no judgment here. Maybe she just had a bad habit of accidentally dropping a pinch of arsenic into her hubby's drink instead of sugar. It happens to the best of us, right? So there you have it, folks. Joanna, Queen of Naples, wife, cousin, and possibly the worst hostess in history. She took the whole "till death do us part" thing a little too seriously, and poor Louis was just another name on her matrimonial hit list. Some might call it a scandal, others a tragedy. But let's be honest, it's just another day in the life of our dear Joanna. A queen, a wife, a cousin, and an alleged serial poisoner. Now that's a resume that's hard to beat. And who said romance was dead? If nothing else, Joanna sure knew how to leave a mark. I mean, who else could turn the institution of marriage, typically known for love and companionship, into a literal game of survivor? She was basically the 14th century version of a reality TV star, except with less Botox and more poison. Let's just recap, shall we? Joanna had 4 husbands, 2 of whom she's suspected of poisoning. She was a queen, a countess, and a duchess. She was also a politician, and boy did she know how to play the game. She was accused of spreading the plague to get rid of her rivals. That's right, she didn't just serve tea, she served biological warfare. Talk about a power move. But don't think Joanna was all about poison and pestilence. She was also a patron of the arts and a lover of literature. She had the great poet Boccaccio as a courtier, and even founded a university. She was like the Renaissance woman before the Renaissance even happened. And let's not forget her impact on Naples. She ruled the city during a tumultuous time, but she managed to keep the peace, mostly by making sure anyone who disagreed with her was conveniently out of the picture. Well, they do say that well-behaved women seldom make history. But what's most fascinating about Joanna is her legacy. Despite the scandals, despite the rumors, she's remembered as a strong, intelligent woman who ruled in a man's world. She's a testament to the fact that you don't have to be a saint to be remembered. You just have to be unforgettable. And there you have it, folks. The life of Joanna, full of scandal, poison, and a whole lot of drama. Now, isn't that a story for the ages? Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more juicy, scandalous lessons in history.